Hello and welcome. This is Vincent Ketchy, your host with Relationship Helpers. I'm excited this morning that I have with me Nicole Greer. Nicole is the principal coach that helps individuals, corporations, governments, and nonprofits become the people they were created to be through fulfilling a mission to work in teams and exemplify leadership. Nicole offers foundational tools and uncommon wisdom. Nicole is a speaker, trainer, facilitator, executive, and business coach. Thank you for being here with us, Nicole.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Nicole, share a little bit more about your background with our audience.
Absolutely. So I do speaking, and I speak in front of groups, everything from government to business to faith-based organizations, and I bring a message about how important it is to do coaching. You can do coaching on yourself, you can coach the people at your office, and you can coach people in your family. So I work with people to help them improve their performance. That's really the bottom line.
So you help all kinds of people, it sounds like.
Absolutely, because coaching has a basic premise is that everybody has seriously untapped potential. And I believe that if we put this technique called coaching in place, that we will have people operating much higher levels. And I think that's what the world really needs, is people who are bringing their genius to the world.
So you're a positive person, cheering them along, encouraging them in their skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in their skills, and really a lot of times I work with people to help them figure out kind of what their purpose is, their mission, their calling. That's a big part of it, because once we know what we were born to do, then it's very easy to get excited and engaged and bring our skills to the party. So that's what I try to help people do.
So a lot of people are misdirected maybe, or just not going in the right direction.
Yeah, and they could be misdirected because, I don't know, Vincent, when you were growing up, I don't know if people told you what you ought to be when you grow up. That's what happened to me. But, you know, I found my direction, my purpose and everything in life about 10 years ago when I discovered coaching, and I discovered the fact that, you know, I think I had always wanted to be, you know, up in front of people teaching, and I do that today through speaking. So I found my purpose. It radically changed my life. I'm one happy camper. When I sit down to do my work, it isn't work. It's joy. I love what I do.
So for years you were doing things you really didn't want to do.
Well, I had
Or you didn't know any different.
I didn't really know any different. And I think that's the truth about people, is they don't really know the difference. They, what they're doing is they are making a living, right? They have a job, right? And so they're working through life that way. And I had some lovely career opportunities in my life, and I was blessed and I did well. But I don't think that I was born to be a property manager, which is what I was for about 14 years. Prior to that, I was in the restaurant business, but I don't think I was born to do that. I'm not a chef. I'm not, you know, somebody who wants to do that full time. So when you find your purpose, things really turn on. And what happens to people is what they do is they live what I call a vibrant life. My company is Vibrant Coaching. And when somebody figures out their purpose and their skills and their talents, they start to what I like to call shine. Yeah.
So you didn't have passion in those jobs or jobs before. You were just making a living, I guess.
Yeah, I had passion about, like, I wanted to do well. You know, I wanted to use my skills. But at the end of the day, you know, when I leased an apartment, or I, you know, helped the person who owned the apartment community, you know, make the P&L sing.
Right.
That was fun, but it wasn't my business. It wasn't my goal, my mission, right? I was helping somebody else with theirs. I'm glad to do it and grateful they gave me a paycheck. Hear me. Grateful.
Right. You got paid for that, yes.
That's right.
And you learned skills, but it really wasn't helping your business on. You were working for someone else.
That's right. So I wasn't really fulfilling my own calling. Now, there are many people, though, that love to be the helper, love to do that. And they may be in a sweet spot where they're helping somebody else achieve their mission, because that's kind of how they're hardwired.
Like they have security being in that position, I guess.
That's right. And some of us are hardwired to take more risk and to step out and do things differently. And that's really what one of the fine things that I do, fine-tuning things I do in my coaching, is I work with people to help them determine, you know, what is the thing that you most are hardwired to do.
Okay, so finding out what they fit most, or what skill set that works best with them, what kind of career that works best for them?
Yeah, there's a little diagram that I have. It's on my website and also on the back of every business card that I hand out. And it's a little diagram, and it's called U101. And there's basically two rectangles, one nested inside of the other. And the inside rectangle talks about the fact that we all have a comfort zone. And inside our comfort zone, we have hardwired human traits, personality. Then we have habits that are in place that are deeply seated, and then we have a belief system. Then outside of that, we have an area we call the learning zone. So every time I test my beliefs, I test my hardwired skills, and I test habits, I grow into the learning zone and I become bigger. And that's really what coaching is helping you get out of your comfort zone into the learning zone and really claiming a bigger territory for your life. So every time you do that, you become bigger and bigger and bigger, capable of more things.
So as you learn more and you get kind of out of that comfort zone or that kind of little box that sometimes we've made for ourselves.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So that's the coaching that I do. Yeah.
Tell us about what other kind of, what was maybe your big aha or light bulb moment?
Okay. First of all, I love your language, your light bulb moment, because that's like, oh, my light turned on. I started to shine, which is the name, which is the name of my coaching methodology. So that's probably my biggest aha is that, I realized that people, when they want to grow, they want like a formula. Now, I don't have any pixie dust. I don't have a magic wand.
Right.
I can't change somebody's life unless they want to change it. Mm-hmm. But I can take people through a methodology that helps them see how growth or moving from that comfort zone into the learning zone can take place. So it's an acronym, and it's SHINE, and the S stands for self-assessment. So the first thing that I do with people is I sit down and I help them really self-assess, like, what's your personality? Where are you right now? Where have you been? What are the lessons that you learned? And most importantly, what are the things that bring you to life or light you up or get you excited? We need to chase those things. The second thing I do is the H in the SHINE.
So let me go to that one, first one. Tell me about people when you start going through that process. Do many people know when you do these self-assessments, or is this a revelation for some people, or is it? I
think it's a revelation for most people because, again, they've been told, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, you need to find a nice person to marry, you need to get a career, settle down, and really, Vincent, that is not the world that we live in anymore. Post World War II, the baby boomers, they fell into that pattern, and that was beautiful. But even if you go and you talk to most baby boomers today, they're going to tell you that they are looking for what they call a second act, a second career to get involved in.
They're not satisfied with what they're doing now.
That's right. And your group of people, the Christian women that we are reaching today through this podcast, they are not the traditional Christian women that our grandmothers were or our mothers were. They have jobs and they have to juggle that, plus what's going on at church, what's going on in their family, getting to the ball games, doing all those things. And so being obligated, maybe joyfully, to many of those things, having a career that you really, really love, it's like a bizarre idea. Like, I shouldn't get up and suffer through the workday. No. You should figure out what really brings you to life and then plug in and figure out how to, make that work. And it can be done. And you can, earn and position yourself for some great things.
So it's a whole different mindset. And I'm thinking my generation's the X.
You and I are both X's.
X
That's
generation.
Right.
And when I think about that, we were taught by our parents. I know about my parents. I mean, I'm blue collar kind of past.
Right.
We're taught by our parents, taught by grandparents, taught by our teachers, our pastors, our Sunday school teachers, all those. It seems like everybody we were talking about, go to college and get a job. I mean, that was pretty much the formula, right?
That's the formula.
Was like, and you'll make money. You go to college, you'll make money. It'll be worth it going to college, and you'll have a good career, and you'll make money. But in this day and age, that's not true.
That's right. There are a lot of people graduating from college that aren't in the area that they thought they would be in, even though they have an education. It's become very competitive in education circles. And I will tell you what people are looking for that are hiring is somebody who has passion. So I can tell you a quick story if you'd like to hear it. So I have a young woman that's in one of my classes at Queen's University. Both of us are pursuing our master's degree in something that we love, which is organization development,
Right.
and we're both adults, and
Right.
I'm 51, and I'm just now figuring out again what I love. And
You like to organize things.
that's right, and I love to help people and organizations become what they were created to be. That's my mission statement you read earlier. But this young woman, she is deeply convicted about the environment. And the condition that things are in, and the fact that, you go places and they're still not recycling, and that it's just out of control. The environment is really a hot mess. I mean, it's really true what they're saying.
Yeah,
And
she
so-
wants to take care of the earth.
Yeah, so she pursued a career in a nonprofit that helps protect planet Earth. Now, why did she get the job not over somebody who has a master's degree, even though that was a prerequisite for the job? And she doesn't have it, because I just said she's in class with me pursuing it. Because when she went to the interview, she was so passionate and heartfelt, they thought, oh my God, this girl will run this organization, and she will make sure stuff gets done, because there's an inner fire. She is on fire for the environment. Her light is shining. And so she is the right gal for the job. And so really aligning personal core values and mission and doing all that, that's part of the self-assessment process. And so, I mean, she's just a perfect fit for her job.
So when someone really realizes what their passion is about, what they're excited about, it sounds like it's really easy for them to sell themselves to an employer or to customers or to whoever.
Yeah, and there's really no sales job, because they're just pouring out their heart.
Right, they're just passionate about it naturally.
That's right. So, we've all sat in a sales presentation where somebody is like going through a script, and we can feel it, and it feels icky and awful, and we're like, ugh, I just got to stop this whole process. And then we've been with somebody who really believed in their product, and in this case, her product was herself.
Right.
And it's just like, it's magnetic.
People are attracted to it.
That's right. And so again, because her light was shining, here's the metaphor. It's like a bug to a lamp. Right? Like, she just pulls people in. And and if you saw her, she's just a little teeny tiny 5'2", 100-pound person. She's a little teeny tiny person, but she is a powerhouse. And she is probably, I would say, maybe 32 years old. And somewhere around there, she manages people twice her age and people who are 20, and they have the utmost respect for her because she's on fire.
She's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, and so you can't really resist it. So that's a good example of self-assessment.
Okay, so that's what you do. You help people understand that. And so we're talking about the assessment. You were talking about the first part of Shine, sorry.
Yeah, so it's okay. So there's a lot to it. But the H is habit work. So I help people with habits. The I is integrity. And this is absolutely huge. Here's a problem in the world, Vincent. A lot of people think they are men and women of integrity. In fact, if we asked all of your listeners, raise your hand if you're a man or a woman of integrity, all the hands would go up. And then I would have to break the news to you that, well, not all the time. Because here's the deal with integrity. We have to claim what we want and, the life that we want to live. Most people haven't sat down to do this work. And then we have to make choices and decisions and have our behavior follow a pattern that makes that life happen.
So we have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So I am only a man or a woman of integrity or woman of integrity if I live out the things that I claim are right and real for my life. For example, I don't know, I've been on a diet since 3rd grade. If I say I want to be thin and then I eat, a donut, I'm out of integrity. And so, you could say, well, Nicole, it's just a donut. Well, I don't know. It's just as false as if I say I love my husband, but then I talk bad about him. The donut and the talking bad about my husband, they both place me out of integrity. So being really true to what you say you want. So that's the I. And then the N is next right steps. And next right steps is all about goal setting. And the last thing is energy. And we are running our lives on really depleted energy. And so it's so important that you, take care of other people, of course, your family, but you cannot take care of them unless you are taking care of yourself. And so you have to take care of your intellectual energy, your emotional energy, your spiritual energy, your physical energy, social, and your finances. So the energy is a huge thing. If you're like, I'm tired, I'm worn out, I'm overwhelmed, in your counseling business, you probably sit across from people every day and say, I'm so tired, I'm so overwhelmed. Well, it's because one of those 6 energies, or maybe all of those 6 energies, are not being paid attention to. And you cannot get a toy car to operate without a fresh battery in it. And that's just how it works. So these things in life are simple, but we don't slow down to really think about them. So that's the coaching methodology that I take people through.
Right, so people don't slow down to recharge.
That's exactly right? Yeah. So like last weekend, I conducted a retreat for a beautiful church in South Charlotte called St. Margaret's, and I did that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then I went to a retreat myself on Sunday night and Monday. It's like...
So you had a busy time.
That's right. So if you pour yourself out, you got to get filled back up. So then I went in, I sat under the teaching of somebody, and got to walk in the woods and do yoga and whatever. So it was great. You've got to take care of yourself, and it is okay. I will give every woman listening to this podcast permission to take care of themselves.
So you allow yourself to get recharged, and you
Absolutely.
spend money to do that. So you're very intentional about it. That's what I'm hearing. It's very intentional time spent that way.
Absolutely. I don't hope that I can get some quiet time this week. I don't hope that I'll go on a retreat. I don't hope that things will, slow down. I choose that.
You mark it on your calendar. You tell your husband, you tell your children, you tell your friends, you tell your parents, you tell everyone, your clients.
Absolutely.
This is my time.
That's right. And so like you said, your husband. So I will tell you something. When I had been gone for 4 days, boy, was that man happy to see me come in the door, right? So sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder. So, so there was a lot of energy coming from him when I came in the door, and then I got that emotional energy because my husband's like, oh, I'm so glad you're back. Right?
So it's very healthy for relationships.
Absolutely.
For one person, or of course both persons, to take time away to recharge themselves.
Absolutely. Where there's no demands of having this other person need something from you, right? And then when you come home, it's like you realize what you were missing while they were gone.
You appreciate each other a lot more in a marriage if that happens. But at the same time, you're able to recharge yourself, not have all those demands from home, from work, from your kids, or church, or whatever, when you take this time for yourself.
Absolutely.
So you get that, you get recharged, and then the people around you, they get greater appreciation for you at the same time.
That's right. And
so it's like a double thing. I mean, it's a recharging for you, but it's where they're not taking you for granted so much.
Absolutely. And, another thing, too, is like I walked in the door of my home, and I was really glad to be in my home. Do you know what I mean? After being gone for 5 days,
right.
It's like, it is home sweet home, right? And so while I enjoyed being at these 2 retreat centers, when I came home, it was like, I'm so lucky. I love my home. Here's my bed.
You were a lot more appreciative as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big part of the emotional energy that I'm talking about. When I got to my home, not only was I greeted by my husband, I was, my home, everything that I have, it put me in a state of gratitude. And both you and I know how powerful gratitude is. This is a wonderful, wonderful emotion that can energize us, amazingly.
Yeah, so that time away, that time that you spent on yourself recharging, really just revitalizes not just yourself, but your marriage, your attitude, just everything about your life.
Absolutely.
So tell us more about maybe what do you feel is your most effective, relationship skill that you help people with?
Well, I think the thing that I help, everything from people who work in the government sector to corporations, to people I coach one-on-one, the number one skill that I teach people is listening. If you could be an effective, what I call active listener, you will be very, very, very valuable in the world, because what the world needs is somebody to listen to them, right?
People need to feel heard.
Absolutely. And they need a safe space. If you can create a safe space for people to declare what they're thinking, to explain how they're feeling, this really helps people to have a better relationship all the way around. So, for example, in the corporate environment, one of the things I do when I coach executives is I ask them all the time, how much listening are you doing? Tell me about the listening you did this week. When I first work with executives, they look at me with this query on their face. They're like, what do you mean? How much listening have I done? I'm like, okay, so you're running this organization, but you're not inquiring as to what's going on with all the people, you're just giving out direction, you're giving out quote unquote orders.
For a lot of executives, you find out it's foreign for them, or at least them thinking about listening or focusing on listening.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that are enlightened, right? That get it,
yeah.
But for the vast majority of them, they're so concerned about the bottom line. They're so concerned about action that they're giving a lot of direction and moving people into the workspace and making sure that they know what they need to be doing. But I'm telling you, feedback from your employees is huge. And the same thing is true from your children, right? So if you just bark at your children and you say, do this, do that, do this, do that, are your chores done, is your homework done? And it's just this constant inquiry and peppering of questions, and you're not really listening, you may not really know what's going on with your child or your husband or your sister or your mother.
Yeah, so you may be oblivious to really what's going on in that relationship.
Absolutely.
Or what's going on in that person's heart.
Which is key to any relationship. You need to understand somebody's thinking, but you need to really understand what's in their heart, the core values that are important to them. Yeah.
So you help people listen. Tell me about your current passion.
Well, my current passion is doing collaborative coaching. So I coach people one-on-one, and that is wonderful, and people find their purpose, their mission. But I find that most teams, most groups, most families, they do not know how to communicate effectively in a group setting. And so the dynamics that are inside of a group really need to be observed, practiced. People need to put what I call norms in place. Like, here's how we're going to behave. Like, we choose this behavior instead of like behaviors just occurring. Right. And so doing this group collaborative coaching is huge, because once a team knows how to communicate, how to listen, and we put some tools in their toolbox, then they can go off and they can do what is necessary in this 21st century, which is innovate and, take the marketplace by storm, or be a family that, make sure that everybody's mission is understood and make sure that everybody, their personality is honored. Right.
So your passion is working with groups and helping individuals hone or even learn social skills within groups.
Absolutely. And we have, for example, I work with a team that's over in Kentucky, and it's a family-owned organization. And these are some of the hardest working people you will ever meet in your entire life. They're amazing. And there are two sisters that run the company, and they are opposite personalities. And so, the history of sisters, especially if these sisters are 40 and 50 and 60 years old.
Right, so they've been doing it quite a while together.
Right.
They've been in charge for a while.
That's right.
Had a lot of experience in the business.
That's right. And so they have, like back to the coaching methodology, they have been operating as sisters without doing a lot of self-assessment. They've got habits in place. Sometimes they're in integrity around being sisters, and sometimes they're not. So they need to determine next right steps and keep themselves healthy from an energy perspective, so that relationship will work, and then the fallout is the company will work. So this is very, very important, and they do a fabulous job. So I have a tool in my toolbox. It's called the Vibrant Elements, and it's about a book that was written by Lori Beth Jones, and her name of her book is The 4 Elements of Success. And so first thing we did was self-assessment, and we found out that the one sister is an earth fire personality, and we found out the other sister is a wind fire personality. So earth is slower, not slow, just slower, steady, reliable, systematic, loves strategy, wants to be calm, cool, and collected. The other sister is wind. She wants to make it happen now. She wants to talk about it. She wants to get it done. She wants to make things happen. She wants to throw it out there, see if it'll work. Let's just test it, right? So two of these people operating a company are going to have a clash. Now, behind both of them, they each have fire, which is heat, passion, driving force. So if they're on the same page, they're a force to be reckoned with. They get a lot done. If they're not on the same page, we have
a battle.
That's right. And so they have learned really how to honor each other's personality, each other's element in a way, and change who they are, so that when they talk with each other, they're honoring each other and they're being more collaborative versus more conflictual.
So they've really, during the process, have begun to understand each other a lot deeper than before. And what I'm hearing is they're respecting each other now versus maybe in their minds putting each other down or just being like, why are you doing this?
Exactly. And so here's the thing. So, when you look at your person that you're in a relationship with, in this case, you look at your sister and you say, why is she asking me so many questions? This is a great idea. Why don't we just do it? And the other sister's like, well, we can't just do it. What is going to be the strategy? How much will it cost? Where will we go? There's
wanting the details.
Yeah. And so the one sister is like, has to have details. Now, if they honor each other in the relationship, the one sister will say, she needs details from me. So instead of just throwing out the idea, I'll also write down the details. So my sister can say yes. And vice versa. This sister says, well, I don't need details to ad nauseum. I just need to know cost, time, energy of employees. And once I get that from her, I'll say yes. I won't irritate my sister who's ready to rock and roll by slowing her down. Right? So it's respect on both sides. But
so one has learned to explain themselves more to the other, and the other is learn to speak up and say exactly what they need.
Absolutely.
Instead of assuming that the other person's going to read their mind.
That's right.
And think like they think.
Yeah, or think there's something wrong with her. No, there's nothing wrong with her. This is what she needs. So honor her needs, and then she'll honor your needs.
And it sounds like it really helps both of them because both of them have more of a healthy way of viewing decisions.
Absolutely right.
I mean, there's a balance to it, really.
That's absolutely right.
Versus if it was just one of them, they may be going way off on one end. And I know, like Jim Collins says in his book, Good to Great, they may be shooting cannonballs instead of just bullets.
Exactly. Yeah. So the one that says I have an idea. How valuable is a good idea? I mean, it's priceless.
Creativity,
right?
It's
priceless.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other one says, now wait. How much does it cost? What is the energy? What is the time frame? Because she's protecting the resources. So
she's thinking about the risk.
Right. So that is the beautiful balance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and if you've got one person who's out there just continually doing these great ideas, they may be blowing money left and right and not making anything. But then if you've got somebody who's afraid of taking risks, then they may not be progressing in any direction. It's just staying stagnant.
That's right. So there's no growth. And so, and the thing about the elements that I teach, which I absolutely adore, is that you have earth, water, wind, and fire. And you can use the metaphor of a seed, right? So if I take a seed, which is potentially like the idea, and I stick it in the ground, okay, there's the earth. It's got to have a solid foundation. It's got to have a place to rest, the idea, the seed.
That stays in one place.
That's right. And that is firmly planted. And then I have to make sure that it's watered, right? And so the water personality is somebody who is supportive, accommodating, go with the flow, and is a great nurturer. So we all know people in companies or in our families who are that kind of person, that
they're very supportive.
Yeah, and they're accommodating. They make sure everybody's okay, and they tend to things. So the water goes on to the seed. Now we have the earth and we have the water. The next thing we can think of is now it starts to sprout because the sun was baking down on the earth and caused that seed, that idea to crack open. So fire personalities heat things up. They make sure that something will go to a next level, and they drive growth.
They've got a lot of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that seed needs energy to come back alive, right? And then once it comes up and turns into a plant, then the wind comes by and pollinates and carries the growth farther, right? And so that's the wind personality, which is my personality, is this wind, is somebody who can, make things grow and get the seed slung so even more growth takes place.
Right, it sounds like a connecting person. That helps connect others and connect other ideas and go beyond just, say, that one little plant.
You're right. That's exactly right. Wow. Yeah. So those are really my passions, are collaborative coaching, using the elements in what I do. That's what I really adore. I love that work.
Well, we're down to our final lap, or the speed round.
Okay.
So, Nicole, what has been your biggest stumbling block in your relationship with God?
Me.
Okay, all right. How so?
Well, I just, God is good all the time, and Nicole isn't. And so that's the biggest stumbling block. So there's really nothing exterior because my relationship with God is internal.
Right.
So there's nothing really on the outside. If I have a problem with God, it's usually me. So
you pull yourself back there. Yes.
That's right. That's right. So I would say, like anybody, could you have a richer, deeper, more beautiful relationship with God? Yes. How do you do that? Okay, sit still and be with God.
Okay,
right.
What is the best advice you have ever received?
I can actually tell you that I got this from Ann Starrett. She says to me, Nicole, you jump to conclusions. And she's my mentor. And I'm like, I do? And she's like, all the time. Okay, so she holds up a mirror, helps me do self-assessment, which is so wonderful. You need a mentor in your life. And she said, when you jump to conclusions, then you start creating action plans based on things that may or may not be true. And you're using a lot of energy doing that.
So you get ahead of yourself, way too far ahead of yourself.
That's right, which is a side effect of being a wind personality. Yes. But here's what she says, when you look at a situation, you just need to say to yourself, we never know what's going on with people. We never know what's going on underneath that situation. So what do we need to do? We need to ask questions. Be more curious, get some facts, which is the earth, right? The solid, steady, reliable. And that's what, that's the best advice I've ever received.
Okay. Who do you admire the most other than a biblical figure?
I would say it's that woman I just mentioned, Ann Starrett. She is the director of spiritual formation here in North Carolina at Davidson United Methodist Church. I went to one retreat of hers about 10 years ago, and I have been following her ever since. She's just chock full of wisdom. And you can find out more about her at thelydiagroup.com. She does retreats, and she has a retreat house in Statesville, North Carolina. And her mission is to provide a safe space to grow.
Okay, so that's the lydiagroup.com, and we'll have that on our show notes page, which is
wonderful
at relationshiphelpers.net. So make sure you go to relationshiphelpers.net. Nicole, what is your favorite book besides the Bible?
I would say Simple Abundance by Sarah Ban Breathnick is a top one. It sits right on my table in my office, and I pull it out and look at it all the time. It's like a 365-day-a-year kind of devotion thing. But in there, Sarah Ban Breathnick just talks about being grateful. Yeah.
So really kind of changing your attitude, or keeping your attitude at that.
Yeah, in that gratitude place for sure.
What is your most effective relationship habit?
Cooking.
Okay, all right, yeah. Well, that's good. That always creates a good atmosphere if you're a good cook.
That's right.
Bad cook, bad atmosphere.
That's right, exactly. And I happen to be a decent cook, so that works out. Yeah, but I think...
What's your favorite dish?
I make a really amazing lasagna, I must tell you.
Okay, right. I love lasagna. That's great.
Yeah, and I like it because you can make it up ahead of time and clean up your kitchen and then have everybody over, and then you don't have to worry about cleaning up the big giant mess that lasagna makes. But yeah, I like to cook. It brings people around and creates conversation.
Well, that's what my wife likes to do. You'll have to check out her Pinterest board.
Oh, I will.
She has tons of recipes, and only her problem with it is she won't cook the same meal. She likes to try new things out all the time, so I'm continually getting things. And many times they're good, mind you, but yes. But
do you have a favorite?
I have many favorites. I mean, I like lasagna. I like she made this hamburger macaroni thing. I like it.
Nice.
So I don't know. I like a roast. The roast is great.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Well, you're a lucky man.
Well, Nicole, thank you for being with us here today. Give us, before we leave, give us some parting wisdom and the best way to contact you.
Okay. Yeah. So some parting wisdom would be to simply sit down, do some self-assessment, maybe get Sarah Ban Breathnick's book, Simple Abundance. That'd be a great way to do some self-assessment on your own. Take a look at your habits. Consider how you're developing your character with regarding integrity. Get some written down goals. They say only 10% of adults have actually got written down goals. So So set a goal for yourself today and take care of yourself and get your energy recharged. That would be
okay. So a lot of people keep them in their head, but maybe they never write them down. Actually,
yeah. And there's great power. It's been researched and statistically proven that writing down goals and revisiting them make them happen. So that's huge.
Makes them a lot more real.
That's exactly right, and make them come true. Okay. So that's huge. And then to get up with me, if you want to find out more about me, you can just simply go to vibrantcoaching.com, and my phone number is 704-502-4953, and my email is Nicole@thevibrantcoach.com.
Okay. So again, that is vibrantcoaching.com. Mm-hmm. Okay, and your phone number again?
704-502-4953.
Okay, well, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, Vincent. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for listening to Relationship Helpers. We hope this was some very valuable information for you. Please make sure that you go to our show notes page, which is located at relationshiphelpers.net. And go on iTunes and make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review our show. Thanks for listening.
Note that accuracy and authority in regards to the subject matter covered today is not a replacement for professional care. Neither the host, the clinicians, or the guests are rendering clinical or other professional advice. Seek professional help if you need it.